Finally, I can see a tribe of Kiwis. Finally. Kia ora, Kiwis. It's time to wake up. Was Medsafe or our government hiding the truth about the Pfizer vaccine? Here I want to read out a few points from the minutes of the Out-of-Session Medicines Adverse Reactions Committee meeting, otherwise known as MARC, M-A-R-C, which was held on the 20th of January 2021, but not published until the 13th of April 2021. Now, given some of the comments in this meeting, I think it important that we emphasize some of the discussion, which surely leads to some questions as to why this wasn't brought to light earlier. Which of these questions have had answers? I suggest, if you're interested, write an official information request under the OIA and ask for those answers yourself, because surely they're not coming through the mainstream media. Just stop the video so you can read the page as you go. Partway down the background it states, Medsafe considers that the safety specification for this product is currently inadequate and does not accurately reflect the important known risks, important potential risks, or missing information. Do you feel you know what risks they're talking about? Now I'd like to jump ahead to partway through the discussion, where it says, the committee discussed the clinical trial information available to date, the low numbers of participants who were very elderly, of ethnic minorities and with various important comorbidities were noted. It was also noted that the study design does not provide robust safety data in a number of populations, nor does it provide adequate information about duration of immunity, need for booster doses, prevention of transmission, prevention of asymptomatic disease, or prevention of severe disease. Given the limitations of the data, robust post-market information gathering is of the utmost importance. I'm not sure about you, but in that one paragraph, a whole lot of questions sprang out. Not providing robust safety data, inadequate information, unknown about duration of immunity, are booster shots required, not even sure of prevention of transmission or prevention of asymptomatic disease or prevention of severe disease even. Now the final line says, given the limitations of the data, robust post-market information gathering is of the utmost importance. So we are the trial, folks. We are the trial. There was no information, or very little. Right, moving on. The most important known risk with Comirnaty was considered to be reactogenicity. The rate of anaphylaxis may be higher than that of other vaccines. The committee considered that being prepared for this risk and factoring this into messaging is important. Have you heard any message about reactogenicity? The committee agreed with the proposed questions and comments on the risk management plan. In particular, the need for more information on use in patients with renal and hepatic impairment, children, and people with multiple comorbidities was emphasized. Also, the need for information on co-administration with other vaccines was stressed. So much information we're still requiring, but yet the rollout rolls on. Now also another word a little bit further down the page springs out, vaccine-associated enhanced disease, VAED. What is that? Have we been explained what that is? It's noted that low prevalence of COVID-19 infection in New Zealand means that the vaccine-associated enhanced disease may be less of a risk compared with other countries. So they know there's a risk. What is the risk? Please explain. So even with all the internal questions from their meeting that Medsafe had outstanding towards this vaccine, they went ahead and green-lighted the provisional consent.
Look, as you will have now seen, we're very, very pleased to announce that our next stage in our vaccine program has now occurred. So we have officially now that approval from Medsafe for the use of the Pfizer vaccine in New Zealand. Now, look, that's a really important part of the process. We wanted to make sure that we could give New Zealanders full confidence in the use of the Pfizer vaccine here, so we've put it through the full process Medsafe, who assess those medicines that are dispensed in New Zealand usually, and all our vaccines have gone through that process and approved its use here in New Zealand. That means we're now ready for rollout once our vaccines arrive. Keeping in mind that even the application process relied on that rolling data. We've had the information we needed to approve the vaccine's use here in New Zealand, and now we have an ongoing expectation of data being provided. We're getting all of our house in order so that when those vaccines arrive, we are ready to start that rollout immediately. This is so important. This stage, the role that Medsafe has played, independent of us, using the best expertise from around the country to provide that advice and make this decision. This hasn't been government. We've brought those experts to the table to give the reassurance to New Zealanders that regardless of whether the rest of the world is already rolling this out, we still went through a proper process that they can have confidence in. We've got a job to do. We know that there's actually a relatively small number of New Zealanders who you would describe as anti-vaccinations. Then there's the next group who are just a bit hesitant. They need information, they need confidence. Today I want to give them that confidence. Medsafe have gone through a process independent of politicians. They've brought in those experts. It's just another thing we can do to give people the confidence to take the vaccine. No, not at this stage, and remembering it is early days. We're asking people the question over whether they'd accept a vaccine at a time where they're not hearing, for instance, or haven't heard yet that Medsafe has approved it, or they haven't seen other New Zealanders receiving it, or their neighbours, or other whānau. And so it's really important for us to keep modelling, leading by example, and showing we've done this properly, we've taken our time to approve it properly, people can have confidence.
Do you feel like you've had fully informed consent? Listen to our one source of truth about what this vaccine actually covers you for. And think carefully, Kiwis, think carefully before involving yourself in a very large experiment.
Just going back to, I guess, the worker, they were tested, they were vaccinated, everything was right, yet they still got the virus. How much does this worry you, and how much confidence do you have in our system actually working?
This is a really important opportunity, I think, again, to just point out that the vaccine is 95% effective at reducing symptomatic onset of COVID-19. So that means it is still possible to get COVID, but it won't make you nearly as sick or likely to experience potentially some of the disastrous consequences we've seen overseas. So in this case, it is working as intended. This is not a worker who is very unwell and yet they have COVID, so it's doing its job. It doesn't mean people won't get it.
Did she or did the worker only just get their second jab, or was it done quite a while ago?
No, they were actually vaccinated, from what I've seen, quite early on in our rollout. So from what I've been advised, essentially we would consider them fully vaccinated.
How did they test positive if they were fully vaccinated?
So it is still, in fact, we entirely expect that people who are vaccinated will still get COVID-19. It just means that they won't get sick and they won't die. In fact, we entirely expect that people who are vaccinated will still get COVID-19. It just means that they won't get sick and they won't die.
Rightio Kiwis, if you like this, press the like button, share around to your friends, and also the links are in the video header. Oh, the gold is what we're told. Just make money, then grow old. Now the game is up, I see through it all. The banks rob us blind, then let us fall. But finally, I can see a tribe of Kiwis. Finally, get off your knees, live the last days on your feet. Finally, I can see how it is, the sleight of hand. Finally, we can see if we open our eyes, the shady plan. Finally, get off your knees and live the last days on your feet. See the truth and live those last days debt free.